So before we start the new project, I'll briefly explain the whole course and how the progress we have made till now. So we have practiced and studied the basic concepts of rendering using traditional hand rendering tools and digital rendering tools through this course until now. By using marker and watercolor, we use familiar tools to start to learn about basic concepts of all assignments, such as shading, shadows, shapes, and volumes. These concepts have been applied for all the assignments using digital tools and for application of interior elements, artificial element, architectural element, and floor plan, elevation plane, and full perspective. What we found was that whatever tools we use, the concepts should be applied in the same way for all those situations. Now we know that how important those concepts are, and we can criticize rendering based on the concepts of rendering. Even though those traditional tools such as markers or watercolor might not be used for your future career, but the skills embedded in your hand and mind, and those are the essential things for your future career in the means of communication. Since the program does not require drawing skills to get in this program, most of your drawing skills is regarded as an intermediate level. It means this program gives you opportunity based on your wills and wants to design your future, not based on your established skill set before you apply for this program. Since our school is CETA accredited, CETA requires interior design program to have students have professional drawing skills for visual communication tool. Markers and watercolor are one of the intuitive and familiar tools that you have been exposed. That is why I use those tools as a transitional tool for the digital tools. I integrated the digital pen tools because we still need drawing skills as a communication tool, like a form of language as a designers. In addition, in this digital era, we also need to know how to use digital software for visual presentation. That is the reason we have been used Photoshop and Sketchbook software. Photoshop is optimized for editing photos, and Sketchbook is optimized for sketching. And you eventually use a pen tablet because you know the mouse movement is restricted and limited and is not intuitive as much as the pen. I understand the limitation of the current interface of the pen tablet due to its strange interface of the device design. And I know there is a lot of better devices, but still using new devices and this new experience using new media is worth the risk the disadvantages of new devices, because this experience changes your attitude toward the new technology, and I believe it will enlighten your possibility of adapting new technology when you are in a future when you work as a designer in the field, and who will lead this digital era. Through previous coursework, we have developed renderings and drawing skills using multiple tools, and I believe you have reached advanced skill set of rendering. For final project, we are going to create rendering from scratch. You need to develop an idea for this rendering project and start from sketching and render it to deliver your idea, concept, and the atmosphere. So it was really impressive to see you guys improve your rendering skills and drawing skills, and I found a lot of achievements through this coursework, and I hope that you feel the same way. And next, so we have been used our skills for elevation view, and this can be another application of the elevation rendering for your other project. And this will be kind of like give you briefly show you how you can utilize your skill for your portfolio or presentation. Bless you. So we are here. Let's see. So we have been learned about the concepts of rendering, and we remember those facts, and we understand the concepts, and we have been applied those concepts using numbers of tools, and we know how to, but while we are applying those concepts, we analyzed your own work while you are working, while you are applying those concepts in your rendering. And from the previous activity, the peer review critics rendering, we know how to evaluate. We develop your skill to evaluate your others' rendering too. And now we are in the last stage, the hierarchy of the learning stage, which is create. It's going to create your own rendering from scratch. This graph shows a hierarchy of the learning state level, and when you go upper side of the level, it increases the difficulties of the difficulty to achieve that stage, and it shows higher order of your thinking skill. So as I mentioned, we reached the highest level of the learning stage. So you are developing your highest level of thinking skill. So here, we are going to start creative rendering in the forms of collage. So these are the examples of the creative rendering, but it's not exactly the same. These renderings are not created from the scratch. Some of the rendering coming from the 3D model, based on the 3D model, and then the designer rendered afterwards. And some of the rendering came from the scratch, and the designer never used the 3D model. It really depends on the situation. You know how to use 3D model, but sometimes it's hard for people to apply all the material, and they might lost all the information of the material, and it might take longer time to apply all the materials using 3D model, and sometimes it might not effective, but it's not time saving using 3D model. That is why we are using the software to save your time, still delivering your concepts of design, and to show to deliver your idea to the clients or with other designers. So this activity we don't have that much time to finish this assignments, because we just have 3 class dates to finish assigned to this activity, previously we used to have like at least 4 or 6 days to finish this assignment. But I'm expecting you for this assignment to render quickly. Do not spend too much time for this rendering, and I don't expect you to like the high quality rendering for this assignment. I want you to deliver your idea effectively and efficiently in a short amount of time, because design field we don't have much time. All the you might working on like 3 or 10 different projects at the same time, and we don't have much time to focus on the one project for a month. So time management is really essential as a designer. So you guys need to know how to deliver your idea in a short amount of time using the effective resources and the tools. So the design description to explain about this project, you will design 2 spaces in. I need to check the wording, but 2025 or the near future. You will design two spaces of 2025, and not in the current. There might be some big change in 5 years. But it might be the same 2020 and 2025. The reason why I'm visioning the future design, like a near future design for this project, is that as a designer, we need to know about trends, and we need to have insight of the trend coming up next as a leader of the design field. Interior design embodies fluidity, temporality, and movement and change, which also transform how people move through and interact with their built environment. And rendering is a process that extracts all your knowledge and understanding of the interior design by applying concepts of rendering and in addition your aesthetic sense. So that's why I want to show your vision of the near future, and I want you to explain your concepts and the setting of the future you visioned, and the interior design types such as residential, commercial, healthcare, hospitality does not matter. You can design whatever spaces for restroom, airport, or let's see. Okay, let's see. The waiting area or smoking area, kitchen, bedroom, office, roof or the patient room. Even you can design a furniture. So so your idea will exhibit your vision of the future of interior environment by illustrating the function of the space, technology development, atmosphere of the place, and usage by the people in one rendering. So you need to render. Did I share the numbers of the space? Yeah. So you need to render 2 spaces in one rendering. So use walls, partitions, or openings, any types of opening to divide the space. You are not going to render 2 different renderings. You will provide one rendering with showing two different spaces. But the space does not have to be divided perfectly. You can utilize partitions, but I want you to see that those spaces function differently, such as reception area and waiting area. Those two spaces can be connected, but the functions of the two areas are different. So that is what I'm going to see, how you can connect those two different functions in one rendering. And you may use your existing project drawing without material application. You may trace your existing drawing just for the line work, but you cannot use existing material application of your if you are planning to use existing project rendering or drawing. So if you are planning to using existing project drawing, please ask me for permission, or so we can get better solution to get adapt this project. Or you may start sketching a room and add some elements to illustrate the concept of the design. So it means you can just start from the scratch. So if you are planning to for sketch, I recommend you to use Sketchbook rather than Photoshop, because Sketchbook provides a perspective guide, so it'll be better for you to draw in followed by the perspective, and then it save you more time to sketch perfectly. But and save the file in PSD format, and then when you finish sketching, you can open the file in Photoshop so you can render it. So as I mentioned, Photoshop is optimized for rendering or editing photos, and Sketchbook is optimized tool for sketching. So you can use two different tools at the same time, so you can move back and forth to utilize both to get benefits from both software. So I highly recommend you to start from Sketchbook and finish sketching in the Sketchbook, and then move on to move the file in Photoshop and work on the rendering in Photoshop. So this rendering, as I analyzed, this rendering came from the 3D model. So the designer used 3D modeling to render the structures, because this structure is hard to render by hand. So the designer used 3D modeling, 3D model tools for structure, maybe some big architectural elements such as the ceiling or the floor, but most of the material application and even the space inside were rendered using Photoshop. So I think those space inside were used just Google image, I assume, because those are, I think it's a photographic image, not rendering. It's not hand rendered. It's not computer rendered. So you can utilize, but still this rendering delivers all the idea of the designer. The designer would like to show this structural elements for this to deliver the designer's idea about of the structure, and still showing some interior description by showing the pictures of the space, showing the usage of the space, and having some more like showing more architectural elements. And all the material application for the floor and the stairs and ceiling and the walls are by Photoshop. And this rendering also utilize both tools for the designer exports rendering from 3D modeling tools, and then finish rendering in Photoshop using 4 material application of the ceiling, wall, and floor, and so showing more to make more emphasis on the furniture and the color. They just the designer change the opacity of the whole view and then show more color of the sofas and the lounge area. So this is how you can utilize your skills using software. But the idea, the idea is more essential. When you see this rendering, what we focus on is mostly the furnitures, not about architectural elements. So this is how that's the focal point that the designer aimed to show to illustrate his concept of the design. And for this rendering, the designer used existing image of the conference area, conference table and chairs with the 3D model rendered image. Even the glass, the designer used Photoshop to make a transparent glass effect, and for the other wall too, by changing opacity. Even though the furniture is the glasses were not covered, were not like blocked by the furniture, but still it delivers all the idea of the designer. We don't focus on, I mean, as a reviewer, I don't focus on those like small detail. It doesn't look wrong because it rendered well with all the colors, and the concepts accommodates really well. So this white boxes does not disturb our view. It still delivers the idea by not disturbing the view. And here I linked some hyperlinks. There are some hyperlinks of 1, 2, 3. These two. Okay, there also is a hyperlink too. So hover your mouse on the file, then you can find the hyperlinks.
Which file?
In this page, the first page, and these two, the page 9, page 2 and 9.
Wait, what do you mean hovering?
Hyperlink.
Yeah, where's the hyperlink?
Just hover your mouse and then click
Where the click?
the box. So here, so you can see this is the cover page of the designer's portfolio, and then you click it, and it directly open the hyperlink. And the other one as well, the right one. Click it, and it sends you to the link.
Yeah, it's not opening.
It's not
I'm
opening.
hovering over it and it's not.
Hover and click.
Maybe I should see it. That's what I did. Hover and then
So the first example is showing that the designer used the Photoshop, but these are many of them utilize both tools at the 3D model rendered image and then enhanced using Photoshop. But this link the last link I showed you, this link, when you follow this link, this design, the designer didn't utilize the 3D model rendered image at all, and it's mostly rendered by hand. Maybe the person used the drawing line work of the 3D model, but rendering 100% rendered in Photoshop. And you can see the all the examples I would show you, and I've been show you, uses color really carefully. The way people uses color, except this one, this one has a lot of pops of color, but still other renderings using this try to minimize the usage of the color, still have some like a focal point, but I hope you can try to minimize the usage of the color, and then when you use color, it should be it will be the focal point of the rendering view. So this is a good example how you can render two spaces in one rendering. So this one, there's a partition to divide the living area and kitchen area. So this accommodates two different spaces in one rendering. And even this, the dining table rendering, there are like 4 different spaces in this rendering, 5 different spaces in this rendering. So left room, right room, I think left is like living area, the middle one is dining area, right area is right space, the space at the right side is a kitchen area, and there is another two different spaces inside of the space. And this rendering too, this rendering is showing the hallway to get into the entrance, and there's a reception area inside. So you can see there are like multiple spaces in this one rendering. And these are the examples as well. So for this, the red one, there is a restaurant space, the dining area of the restaurant, and the left side there is an outer space, just for lounge or just for the pedestrians. So we can say that there are 2 different spaces with different function. So the project requirements. So you have to render 2 interior spaces visioning 2025 or near future. Residential, commercial, healthcare, hospitality space, or else, whatever you please. And whatever spaces, for example, such as restroom, waiting area, smoking area, kitchen, bedroom, office, rooftop, patient room, even furniture. You can render furniture. Maybe you can render 2 different furnitures for, but you need to have like coherence. If you are planning to design 2 different furnitures, then those furniture, the furniture need to have the coherence for the usage or the design theme. Your idea will exhibit your vision of the future interior environment by illustrating the function of the space, technology development, atmosphere of the place, and usage by the people in one rendering. The spaces can be divided by partitions or openings or walls. The spaces need to have two different purposes of usage. So these are the main aspect you need to keep in mind to start this project. And first, you need a statement. You will ask to provide a statement for your assignment. So in your assignment submission, you need to have a statement and your rendering. So like two attachment, or you can copy and paste your statement in the inline section of the assignment page. And the statement need to have one or two paragraphs that explains the concept of the design or explanation of the background of the setting. So if you are thinking, like for example, if you're thinking, like for example, drone. So in 5 years, the drone might be really ubiquitous to deliver every items to the people. So maybe the building, all the building might have some landing place for drones, or each room might have an additional outer space to get a delivery from drone. So that can be on the background explanation of your design concept. And then your design your rendering should show those setting and those backgrounds. Those settings should be illustrated in your rendering. So you cannot explain using statement. The reason why I ask you to have a statement is that to see the coherency of statement in statements and your rendering. So if your rendering does not explain showing the statement you provided, you might get lost some points due to incoherency. And must exhibit two spaces, and the unity of the theme of design. Unity of the design theme is essential when you design multiple spaces in one project. And use of line work of your existing project, or create your own drawing using Sketchbook Pro and render in Photoshop. And illustrate the concepts of the design or setting coherently, as I mentioned in the statements page. So I've been uploading all the techniques for rendering from Photoshop to Sketchbook, and I also uploaded another link on the Reginet week 14 creative rendering page. That how you can render from scratch, not scratch. So how you can render in Photoshop. So this is a YouTube tutorial. So you can. This is really helpful when you start your rendering in Photoshop. Start from applying material, and then it will show you how to transform the material by according to the perspective, and then it gives you a lot of techniques, and most of them you have learned already through the course. But gives you another like solution for rendering. Any questions, concerns, and comments? So you need to finish your statement at the until Wednesday. So we are you might think about the first. You need to think about the concept of your design, or like start thinking about the future of the design. What will happen in 5 years, or maybe all the designs you currently have are aiming toward at least 5 years, because all the design will last at least 5 years. So yeah, there might be no difference in the near future, but I believe maybe you might have another idea when you are visioning the near futures. Maybe you can illustrate your hopes of the near future interior design. So start from how you can form the statement, how you can form the concept, and then start thinking about what types of sketch, what types of design space would be better for you to start with. And if you have existing project, it might be good for you to have 2 different design themes in one project. So yeah, it might be interesting if you have like 2 different design themes in one project in your portfolio. So you might think about using existing project as well, but really depends on your decision. And I totally respect your idea, and what I want you to explore whatever you want. I don't want you to like follow all the assignments we have been through. We're using existing image. We use reference image. We use existing image to render those, because it's really using existing image is efficient to learn the skill, to learn the techniques of using tools. But now we are creating from scratch, then you can do whatever you want. So I want you to develop your creativity skill from this assignment. So yeah, you can do whatever you want. But if you feel afraid, please discuss with me while you're working or before you start working. Question, comments, concerns?